Hello and welcome to a new episode of Gourmet Bawarchi. In today's episode, I'm going to be making a garlic naan quesadilla. So I'll just run you through the dish quickly. The first element is obviously the garlic naan bread. Then we'll be making a beautiful zesty malai tikka. We'll also be making a spicy hot sauce and finish it off with some green tomato, yellow pepper and raw mango salsa. For the first step, I'll start with the dough. I've added and sieved a pinch of baking powder to the measured out flour in it too. I'll make a well in the center, add lukewarm water, then the sugar and dissolve it with our fingers. We'll then add the active dry yeast. Now we'll let this mixture stand for about 5 minutes or until the yeast granules start to split and you'll see some carbon dioxide bubbles coming up. That's when we can start with kneading the dough. While our yeast is getting activated, we'll marinate the chicken. I'll add salt to the boneless chicken breast pieces, thick yogurt, heavy cream, which is a crucial ingredient to any malai tikka. We'll be adding some cumin powder, a pinch of garam masala, ginger powder, and this is my twist to it. I've added some finely chopped lemon zest, and let's just give this a quick stir. And we let this sit out for about half an hour to 40 minutes at room temperature. As you can see, the yeast has bubbled up, and we'll break up the bubbles and start to incorporate the rest of the refined flour. Before adding any additional flour, I'll be adding a little milk and a little bit of yogurt. If we require water after this, we can always add it later on. There are plenty of ways to make a naan dough. I have opted for the addition of yeast because I personally like the lightness it gives to the bread. You can very well omit it and add more baking powder. We'll be making a nice soft dough. I will just add a little bit of water as we go. The yogurt added to the dough reacts to the baking powder and gives the naan some lightness. The milk, on the other hand, gives the dish richness and aids in the browning process while baking. After this point, just wet your fingers to add more water to the dough. Once the dough has aggregated, add the butter and don't forget to add salt. From this point on, knead the dough for 6 to 8 minutes. If you are confident handling soft doughs, you can add more liquid at this point, but you might find it difficult to handle while rolling out. Now start using both your hands while kneading the dough. There is a nice texture forming up. This is the formation of the gluten strands in the dough. Continue to knead for another minute at most. Have a look at the stretchiness of the dough. Now I am going to roll it up into a ball. Just add a little bit of oil in the bowl. Coat the dough nicely. The oil is added to ensure that it doesn't dry out. So let's wait for this to either double in size or about 45 minutes to 1 hour in a warm place. Before we start with the raw mango and the tomato salsa, I have this beautiful red pepper here. I plan to char it in the oven. Just add some regular cooking oil as well as some salt. So the idea is that in the high temperature, the skin blisters off, we get to peel it off and we get a really nice sweet pepper flavor of this red capsicum. Let's turn up the heat to 220 degrees Celsius, and meanwhile we can chop the ingredients for the salsa. I have this gorgeous yellow capsicum which I will deseed and chop finely. Yellow and red bell peppers have entered the space of the Indian kitchen fairly recently in this decade. There are plenty more colored bell peppers that we don't even know of. Did you know that they also came in orange, white and purple color? These green tomatoes have a slight more tartness to them. It gives a tangier and sharper flavor to the salsa. They also hold up their shape really well in stir fries and salads. It's a really versatile ingredient. In the southern parts of US, they choose really firm tomatoes, cut them up into circles and batter fry them, which you could never think of doing with a red tomato. In Indian cuisine, a wonderful chutney can be made which pairs really well with dosas and uttapams. I'm just getting rid of the seeds so that the salsa doesn't get too watery. Next time, try making a tomato soup with these green tomatoes and you can baffle your guests because the soup will look white but will have that rich tomato flavor. So we're just done with de-seeding and chopping the green tomatoes. Now got some really nice tiny raw mangoes. I'm just going to peel them. We obviously want to avoid the large seed in the center, so we'll trim around it. In any case, the seed is not very hard like in the fully ripe mangoes. So if you do by mistake slice off a little more, that's perfectly fine as well. There's no particular shape, just cut it into strips like this. It's such an incredible ingredient, and the best part is it has that element of sweetness to it also. So if you're just adding lime to get the sourness, you'll miss out on the natural sweetness of the mango. That's one of the major reasons I've added this to the recipe. So we have chopped up all the ingredients. We'll just add the seasoning. For the seasoning, we'll require some salt. I have some lime over here. I use the same zest to add it into the malai tikka marination. I'll be adding a dash of vinegar. Give it a quick stir and finish it off with half of this coriander. We'll save the other half for later. So this completes the color profile. There's some delicate yellow, light green as well as dark green. So we'll leave this lying outside, and since we've added salt to it, it will start to leave out a little bit of water, and that's when the real taste of the salsa comes out. Meanwhile, our red pepper has been getting charred in the oven. You can see that the skin has blistered. There are two reasons why you shouldn't attempt to peel it right away. The skin tends to stick to the flesh after it is out of the hot oven immediately. Just put it in a small bowl and cover it up. The moisture that accumulates helps the skin separate easily. So it's now time to add the chicken that we had marinated and kept it earlier. Drizzle the baking sheet with oil and place the chicken pieces. Don't forget to shake down the excess marination, because when we roast the chicken, it tends to release a bit of juices, and these juices will get diluted. Whatever extra juice oozes out of the chicken will be added to the hot sauce. I've preheated the oven to 180 degrees Celsius and we'll put the chicken into bake. The naan dough has doubled in size, and now it's time to knock it back and release the excess air. We'll just divide it into about 6 pieces, roll it up into a ball. Just make sure that the seam of the dough comes at the bottom. So we've got 6 pieces. We'll let this rest for another 15 minutes or so. If you want to bake this at a later time, you can just cover it up and put it in the fridge. and you can very well use it after even an hour or an hour and a half. Pepper that we had roasted earlier has shriveled up, and now you'll see how easily the skin comes off. It will add a nice, sweet, smoky and spicy touch to our hot sauce. It's still very hot. Cut it open and get rid of the seeds. Just roughly chop it up. We want it to be slightly chunky and want to feel it in our mouth. I've got a pan over here. We'll start with some oil. Then we'll add some garlic. Now most of the garlic will go into making of the garlic naan. We'll just wait for the garlic to brighten up, and at this stage we'll add 1 Tetra Pak of tomato puree. Then these smoky red peppers, as well as some dried oregano or mixed herbs, whichever you can get your hands on. I have some Louisiana hot sauce and I'll be adding about half of the bottle. We'll keep this to simmer for about 15 minutes to let the flavors blend with each other. Now to finish off the sauce, if you know me well by now, you'll find very few recipes that don't have a shot of booze. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of rum. Let me just check if it's not spoiled. I think it's good. So a healthy dash. We'll let this reduce for about 5 minutes and our beautiful boozy hot sauce will be ready. Our malai tikka is ready, tender, and has got a bit of brown coloration. We let it cool down for a bit and then we can cut it into chunks. Our naan dough have proven really nicely. We'll get rid of the excess air. I'll just use a little bit of oil to lubricate the surface and then we'll roll these out. Now I prefer to roll out the naans using oil, since whatever dusting flour you use to prevent the dough from sticking tends to fall onto the baking tray, and these powders burn during the baking process and give a very off flavor to the bread. The best part is the adding of heaps and heaps of garlic and a little sprinkling of sesame seeds. Press down gently, then lightly pick it up. We'll then place it onto the tray. I've preheated the oven and we intend to bake it on a really high, if not maximum temperature setting on your oven for a really short time. Now we have all our elements in place. We have baked the naan, the raw tomato, kachi kairi and yellow pepper salsa is ready, and so is the malai tikka. We'll start by chopping these into small cubes so it stuffs easily between the 2 layers of naan. We'll proceed to the assembly of the quesadilla. We'll keep one this way, then pile the cubed up chicken on it. We'll also sprinkle a little bit of chopped up green olives. This will give a nice briny taste to it. The quesadilla is incomplete without cheese. We'll add a little bit of this special salsa that we made earlier. Let's not overdo it so that it doesn't overpower the flavor of the malai tikka. Then put the other naan over the top and press down gently. Now take a little bit of butter on the saute pan and on a very low flame we let the naans griddle. Then cover it up so as to trap the steam and allow it to help with the melting of the cheese. The garlic has toasted nicely. Let's cut it to see how cheesy it has turned out. We'll cut it into about 6 pieces. Just bear in mind that you don't bake the naan bread too hard, or else the quesadillas will tend to crumble while you try to cut them into wedges. I'm just going to plate it up for you. This is the beautiful red pepper Louisiana hot sauce that we made earlier. Just a gentle drizzle of it should be enough. And now the wonderful green tomato salsa at the center. We'll just sprinkle some more mixed herbs and we are good to go. If you like the recipe, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and see you next week for another exciting recipe. Hey everybody, if you like our show, please drop us a like. If you dislike it, let us know in the comments. For a variety of daily and weekly shows, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, you can drop us a suggestion for our future recipes and get in touch for personal orders.